broadcasting on the DVC to all points unknown. If you're within the sound of my voice, you're listening to Welcome Home Podcast on the DVC.
Hello and welcome home. Thank you for joining us on episode 38 of Welcome Home, a Disney Parks and Vacation Club podcast. I'm Tom. I'm here with Trevor and Damon. How's it going, guys?
Doing all right. How about yourself?
Oh,
yep, doing pretty good.
Yeah. I'd be doing better if I had a Disney trip scheduled, but I don't. I gotta wait for my 11th month.
I vacationed way too much this summer. Like, I need
You want a break from vacation?
I need a break from vacation. It was brutal. I mean, I know it sounds like very like first world problem-y, but like I need to be home for a little bit. Like I really do.
You need a vacation from vacation.
I do. That's for sure.
I wish I had that problem. Anyway, we are also joined by special guests here today, too. We have Marissa and Derek from DVC Resale Market, who are actually, DVC Resale Market is a new sponsor to Welcome Home Podcast, so we're so excited to have them here. We threw it out on Facebook the other day asking all of you out there what your questions were about resale, and we were overwhelmed by the response that we had, and so we're going to try to answer as many questions as we can today. But if you posted a question or sent us a question via email, please know that we will get to it maybe in a future show, but we will try to answer as many as we can today. We just got so many. We only have so much time to do all these things. So Marissa and Derek, thanks for joining us, and can you tell us a little bit about yourselves, about your background?
Of course, we'd be happy to. Yeah, first and foremost, thank you guys for having us. We're so excited. I'm just personally so excited because I actually get to see Marissa in person because we work together every single day, but we actually get to now be right next to each other, almost like conjoined with our headset that we have right here listening to you guys. So thank you guys so much for having us here. Yeah, my name is Derek. And I started my Disney career all the way back in, a long time ago, almost 20 years ago. I was the marketing manager for Walt Disney Parks and Resorts up there in Chicago, Illinois. I'm from the small, booming town of Munster, Indiana, so right there in northwest Indiana. So started my journey there as a marketing manager again for Walt Disney Parks and Resorts. Wound up coming to Disney Vacation Club, actually opened up the preview center that was up there in the suburbs of Chicago. I know many of your listeners, we have a very, very rabid fan base because it was the first ever off-property sales center for Disney Vacation Club, and it was called Doorway to Dreams, and it was at Woodfield Mall, which is a huge mall there in Schaumburg. So I was part of the leading team and opened that, and we did that for about 5 years, and then wound up being a vacation guide, joining the cruise team back around 2014, and almost 100 cruises later, now I get to help folks buy and sell Disney Vacation Club. And hey, I have an amazing team here, and I love being able to work with my partner Marissa here. I was blessed to be able to do a lot of the presentations on land and also on the ships. And my partner here, Marissa, and I were blessed to host several member cruises as well out there on the high seas. So now she's right here. Marissa, tell these folks about yourself.
So, yeah, I was telling Derek, it feels like member cruise all over again because we used to be the presenters for quite a few member cruises. But yeah, my name's Marissa. I'm originally from California, so I started at Disneyland. I started with the college program, and I was in entertainment. So Fantasmic, Parade of Dreams, Electrical Parade. I got to be part of all of those, and I was friends with a lot of the great characters out there, so had a blast doing that. I actually decided within my first year of working at Disneyland, I'm going to go and work on Disney Cruise Line. So I went for about a 6-month contract. 6 months turned into about 6 years later. I was still on Disney Cruise Line. I met my husband out there. And during my time working on Disney Cruise Line is where I met so many members. Members love to cruise, and they're very vocal about it. So I met so many DVC members. I thought, you know what, this is a fantastic way to vacation with Disney. And so immediately, once I figured out really what DVC was, I decided I have to be a part of it. So I joined the team at Disney Vacation Club back in 2014. I started on land and immediately found my calling back on the cruise team. So I spent many years on the cruise team. I love the presentations. I love just getting to spend time with the members out there too. And then I had a little boy a year ago and decided I needed to kind of transfer my journey, one where I wasn't going to be working so full-time. So I joined the DVC Resale Market team, and like Derek said, it's fantastic not only being able to work with new people becoming members, but also working with our members, whether that's helping them add on or sell their membership.
That's
Wait,
great.
I have a question though already.
Oh,
So you said Indiana, Derek?
Indiana, yes.
So tell us about Holiday World.
Yeah.
Not DVC related at all.
I need to know from somebody in the know.
My career started back at Holiday World. I sold vacation packages. No, we were so close to being right outside Chicago that it was almost like an ongoing thing where we'd be on the ships, and it was great because we'd meet all these folks from all over the world, and of course it's logical because people would see my Disney name tag and they'd see Munster, Indiana. And so, of course, they'd say, oh, Munster, Indiana, where's that? And I'd say, right outside Chicago, right? Because that was so much easier than when people asked you and said, where are you from? And I started to literally just say, right outside Chicago. And then they would say, oh, really? Where? And I'd say, Munster, Indiana. And then they'd say, where's Munster, Indiana? And I'd say, right outside Chicago. That's what I would just say, right outside Chicago. So I've actually been a member of Disney Vacation Club. Thinking about it made me think of it yesterday because last night I spent the night for my wife's birthday and some friends. We went over to Art of Animation because we live about 20 minutes away from Walt Disney World. So we get to use our membership a lot. But last night was not using the membership, but it was great because I got to see so many families that were probably going to be on their way to looking into Disney Vacation Club, staying in one of those family suites and stuff. So it was very, very cool. Because I've had my membership since, I think, 1997, I think, is when I purchased my Disney Vacation Club membership, way back when. And I'm sure the listeners will remember if you got picked up in a van and you got taken to Old Key West to go do your Disney Vacation Club tour there. So that's when I joined, was way back when I don't even want to tell you how less expensive the points were way back when.
Yeah, don't ruin it for all the people buying in now.
Right.
Yeah.
That's cool that you guys did a lot of cruises because I think that would be a lot of. I mean, Damon's a big proponent of doing the DVC stuff on the cruises, so getting as much free stuff as he can off the cruise.
I did well last cruise. I won the member money at the meet and greet.
Nice.
Like I did okay. Yeah, I did all right. It was fun. I'm a big cruise person in general, so
That's
I do
awesome.
like that. Yeah.
Well, awesome. Well, why don't we start asking you guys some questions from our listeners here?
Sure.
We would love to learn some more here, and I think for us, on this show, we're very DVC centric here, and we're pretty much one of the few DVC podcasts that are out there. There are a couple that cover it here and there, but we always talk about DVC. That's our thing. So, the first question I see here is from Dan, and Dan actually asked us a couple questions, and I think this is a question that a lot of people have, and has the lack of perks affected sales from April 2016 moving forward. And just to clarify for any listeners out there that don't know what the situation is, Disney kind of changed their rules as far as how resale worked. And I don't want to say took away the perks for new people buying resale, in April 2016, but they did kind of lessen some of the perks that were available. So Dan's curious if any of those perks have affected sales negatively, positively, and maybe you guys can shed some light on that.
Of course. Yeah, of course. Would be more than happy to answer that. And that's definitely a question that we get probably at least 875 times a day.
You never heard that one, right? You never heard that question before?
Never. But I like the way that Dan phrased it. So, yeah.
That's right. Yeah.
I can tell you first and foremost, but it probably, which is strange because Marissa and I were talking about that too with Nick, is when that first all kind of came out, it actually wound up bringing a lot of attention to the resale market because there might be a lot of folks that, maybe weren't even aware. We get that all the time, right? From folks that say, gosh, I never even knew that there even was a resale market. Because we always value ourselves here, and what I think we love about our jobs so much is A, being able to help people, and B, we also get to help folks that have done so much research. Like probably the most well-educated and well-researched folks are the folks that come to us. They've done their homework, so they know all about this. And when these changes came about, probably initially, there's probably maybe a little bit of a slowdown of maybe folks, being afraid and, I'm not sure, what am I not getting? But again, it brought the actual resale market to the forefront. So there was a lot of folks that maybe didn't even realize that there was a resale market. And then again, it goes back to being able to do their research. So when they started doing their research and when they realized what these quote unquote maybe perks that I may or may not be missing out on, how valuable are these perks going to be for me and my family? And again, that's the joy of what we get to be able to do, is be able to help people and give them the time to do the research that they need. we at the DVC Resale Market, we're not afraid to tell someone if it works better in their benefit to buy direct, then by all means buy direct. But if they, at the end of the day, realize and say, you know what, these perks, that I remember that contract that I signed, the last page of that contract said that these perks are not guaranteed and can go away at any time. You know what, Derek, I don't know how many of these, limited capacity private parties that me and my family are going to be able to make it to. Derek, I don't know how many t-shirts do I actually have to buy at 10% off that I could make up the savings of saving $10,000 to $15,000 by buying through you guys. And B, most importantly, I didn't even know that I had the option that I could actually pick some of these resorts as my home resort. So again, has it slowed us down at all? No. We actually just had some stats that Nick just shared with the team that, if you can believe this, that just in 2018 alone, we listed 2,162 contracts and we sold 2,136 contracts so far. And that is just in 2018 alone. And we've got a few more months left. So,
right.
we know we're going to finish strong on that as well.
I think Nick said last month was our biggest month in company history. So yeah, I don't see it slowing down anytime soon.
No.
Yeah, that's, and kind of to your point, I don't think, and I did a lot of research before I bought in, and I don't even think I knew that the resale market existed before I bought in. So, and I think when I read that the perks were being, I don't want to say taken away because they weren't really taken away. It was just, going forward, they're not going to be like this. I think that's when I realized that there was a resale market available out there. So that's a good point.
Yeah, here's a funny story that I like to share with people is I remember when I first looked into Disney Vacation Club, and when I worked at Disney for a long, long time, I remember actually looking up notes on myself, right? Like, oh man, I wonder what my vacation guide wrote about me. I'm just kind of curious. So I went into my account and I actually found a transcript of a conversation that I had where I reached out to Disney Vacation Club and the person put notes in there and said, Derek called. He wanted more info on Disney Vacation Club. He asked us for our website, but of course we don't have one of those yet. So that's how early it was. I was like, oh man, we didn't have a website yet? That's crazy.
That sounds like our website.
Yeah, that sounds like the website for our podcast. Yeah.
See how I teed that up to you right there?
Yeah.
Perfect.
Our podcast website exists. It's just, not exactly up to date with anything. So anyway, Trevor, do you want to ask a question?
So actually, we did have a couple of questions from Dan here. There was a bit of a follow-up, I guess, to that first one. Is are customers hesitant about buying resale versus direct because they'll be treated differently by Disney than if they bought direct?
And I think that's where the cast like us come into play of being able to talk directly with those guests, and whether it's on the phone or whether it's on via live chat or whether it's through email, is we love to kind of debunk the myths, right? Because we hear a lot of myths. And in fact, Nick and I are working on a new blog that we're hopefully going to have coming out soon that are going to be kind of some of the top 5 or 10 myths about buying DVC resale, because we hear a lot of them. A lot. And some of them are, honestly, make me want to grab my phone and I text Marissa and I say, you're not going to believe this one that I just got. She's like, oh, I heard that one yesterday. Yeah, so it's being able to have those folks talk to us, right? And say, well, what have you heard? Because the worst thing that they could do is just assume that it's true. So once we actually get to know that family, get to know what their concerns were and see if they really are concerns. And honestly, Marissa will back me up 9 out of 10 times. That's not true. No, that's not, where did you hear that? No, that is absolutely not true. So when folks realize and say, listen, at the end of the day, I love to tell people the DVC points that you buy with us are exactly the same Disney Vacation Club points that you buy direct when used for the Disney Vacation Club resorts. There is zero difference whatsoever. You guys are using the same website. You guys are using the same phone number to book. You guys are using the Top of the World Lounge, right? You guys are doing everything. Except at the end of the day, you might be hanging out at the pool bar having a drink with someone who paid $182 to buy their points direct next to someone that maybe bought points for $100, right? And then that person says, man, you're in the room right next to me and you got your points at like 30-40% off. Well, how'd you do that? And then that's where you have them reach out to me at Derek at DVC Resale Market.
Whatever, Derek.
Oh man.
But I think too, like, you're gonna get welcome home wherever you're at, whether you're resale member staying on points at Bay Lake, or whether you're Sue who bought direct from Disney staying at Bay Lake Tower. When you go to check in, that cast member doesn't know where you came from. All they're gonna say is welcome home, here's your room key. And same thing, I mean, I think that's the coolest thing about our team, all being former Disney cast members, is because we saw it every day. We had people come in and tour with us, or members who had bought resale, who are maybe looking to add on some direct points, or maybe touring the models. That wouldn't make a difference in how we met with those members. We wouldn't say, like, well, you're the secondhand member here. So it is cool coming from that Disney side of things, because we can really educate the buyers on that.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's funny, you just mentioned Top of the World, and, you know, I think a lot of people probably don't even know that if you're a resale buyer, you can still access Top of the World. So I'm sure that's one you deal with all the time, right?
Yeah, that's probably one of the biggest myths out there, yeah.
Trevor, were you going to say something? I'm sorry.
Well, I was going to actually say that we actually got another question here from Dan. Dan gave us a lot of questions.
I think Dan might want to buy some points soon.
Yeah. We're going to do a separate show just with Dan talking about his membership that he finally bought.
And we really do appreciate this, Dan. So yeah, the last question that came from him was, is there any rhyme or reason for Disney electing first right of refusal?
So yeah, we find that there's probably, like, the three most common resorts that are bought back from Disney are Saratoga Springs, Animal Kingdom, and Old Key West. Saratoga Springs is the most heavily bought back resort, and I think because for Disney, it's a good drop product. So when they're talking about buying direct at $182 per point, when they're talking Copper Creek, and let's say somebody doesn't quite have that cash to spend on that resort, for guides working directly with Disney, it's good for them to have an option that they can kind of drop to. And so Saratoga becomes that drop for them. But overall, Saratoga is the most economical to own. It still goes into the year 2054. It has some of the lowest dues, and it's still a very reasonable purchase price. So because of that, in combination, it's very popular purchasing resale, but it's also a very popular buyback for Disney.
Okay, so, you know, that's great information. Can you explain right of first refusal? Because that's not a question that we had on here, and I know a lot of people that have bought resale know what that means, but that could be a term that a lot of our listeners that have never bought resale don't know what that means. If you could explain that really quick, that'd be great. Yeah,
sure. So the right of first refusal is that Disney has the option to purchase back any contract. So let's say somebody was selling their contract and they sold it at X dollars per point, and we've got a buyer for them. Once we have that contract, that's where Disney will go ahead and look over and say, hey, do we like that price point? Do we want to become the buyer in this? So Disney actually has final say, and that's really kind of part of the processing and purchasing a resale contract. So Disney has the 30-day, what they call their right of first refusal, where they're going to look over that and decide, hey, do we like that pricing? Do we want to become the buyer? It's kind of a scary thing for some people, but the reality of it is less than 10% Disney buys back. So it is kind of a very small business for Disney overall. But that's too, when it comes to even pricing, a lot of people ask if our prices are negotiable. Yeah, there is some wiggle room in terms of pricing. Usually buyers and sellers will meet. In terms of price per point, they'll have some negotiation. But you never want to go too low either, because there is that fine line of Disney saying, you got an awesome price, I like that one, and I'll buy it back from you. And again, the most popular ones that Disney does kind of gear towards are going to be Saratoga, Animal Kingdom, and Old Key West. And a lot of that, too, is because they are the three largest resorts. So we're going to have the most sellers there. We're going to have the most buyers there. So it's the most opportunity for Disney to buy back.
I have a follow-up now. So this happened to me on the cruise, and I just want to understand maybe if you know a little bit more about the background of this. So, you know, we sat through the presentation on the cruise. I was looking for, I'll say 50 points at Saratoga. So, you know, they make the call back to the mainland, right? No, there's nothing available, but we'll get back to you in a day, right? So is that usually something that, like, that's where Disney's looking to, you know, kind of find that contract on resale to then give back to somebody that's looking through points? Or, like, on the back end, what do you think happens with something like that? So someone's on the cruise, they're asking for points, those points don't exist. Are they scouring the resale market and looking to buy back those points to give to you, or is that a different process?
So it would sound like that's the case. It's actually two different departments that deal with the selling of DVC and the buyback process. They're in 2 different buildings. One's in Celebration, one's at Saratoga Springs. So you'd think that it would be a little bit more communicated, but oftentimes it's really not. Yeah. Really, Disney's looking for bottom line prices. Yeah. Whether a contract is full on points for the next 2 years or stripped out until the year 2020, Disney, what we've seen in terms of buybacks is they're not focused on a certain use year. I mean, you can go to Disney now and they'll have a wait list. I think when I left there, they told us the wait list for Beach Club was 10 years. But they're not buying back Beach Club. If you look at our right of first refusal report, I think so far in 2018, they bought back 1. But in the meantime, they have a 10-year wait list of members who'd like to buy Beach Club directly from them. So although it sounds quite reasonable to say, yeah, I told my guide I'm looking for this in this use year, it sounds reasonable that Disney would then turn around and go after that. I think because it's 2 totally separate departments, they really don't connect on that.
And they also have to spend money to make money, right? So if Disney's looking at this and saying, where do I want to put, all of my eggs? Right now, it's, well, I want to sell Copper Creek. I want to sell Alani, first and foremost. Right. Why? So when people say, well, my guide really pushed Alani, my guide really pushed Copper Creek. Well, that's because Disney's getting 100% of that $182 a point. So if they're looking at someone, say, selling a Beach Club, or let's even say like a Grand Californian, right? Went through the roof in the last few months, right? For Disney to buy a contract that went under contract, for them to turn around and sell it, they would have to buy it back again, like Marissa said, at that agreed upon price. It's not that Disney can just swoop in and say, I want to buy this one for $10, I want to buy this one for $80. No, Disney's buying it back for $200 per point, or whatever that is. So then if Disney can turn around and sell it for $225, okay, they sold it for $225, but they also had to spend $200 a point to actually buy that contract back.
So it's like piddly money for them to be playing around in that sort of back and forth game. Gotcha.
There you go.
That makes a lot of sense.
Or your 50 points.
Damon wants you to find him 50 points at Saratoga.
I was just going to say,
he's looking.
He's looking.
Yeah. If we don't stay on for the rest of the show, it's because I'm getting that dude 50 points.
Damon, do you want to do a question, or you want me to ask another one?
I don't even have it up in front of me, sorry. I'll be honest. I told you that in the beginning, though.
Okay. No, that's fine. I'm going to skip around here and say, I'm going to ask you a question from Jesse. And Jesse's asking, what are the top 3 resorts that people end up selling and why? And conversely, what are the top 3 that people want to buy?
Yeah. I mean, I can kind of touch on that. Marissa kind of touched on it a little bit. Volume. Right? So if you're looking at what are the 3 largest Disney Vacation Club resorts, you're looking at obviously Saratoga Springs, you're looking at Animal Kingdom, you're looking at Old Key West. So when it turns into which are the ones that people are going to sell, we get a lot of Saratoga Springs, right? We get a lot of Animal Kingdom, we get a lot of Old Key West. Likewise, when it comes to actually purchasing, we're going to sell a lot of Saratoga Springs, we're going to sell a lot of Animal Kingdom, we're going to sell a lot of Old Key West. What we like to stress to folks, because the big question that we get that kind of goes along those lines of, what are the most popular ones? Again, volume-wise, we just covered that. But in terms of probably sought-after resorts, that's probably a whole different question, because a lot of folks, again, if they're not familiar with how the club works, we'll get a lot of this is, hey, so if I buy Vero Beach points, right, because they're like $60 a point, I can use these points to get into the beach club, right, during Food and Wine Festival. Yeah. And that's, insert, car crash here. And you go, okay, listen, okay.
Let me tell you about this.
Yeah, let me tell you about this. I'm glad you reached out, because that's what I really, really love about our role here is we're not just kind of, pushing points for points. Could we? Sure. We could say buy points.
Buy Vero.
Buy Vero Beach, right? We'll sell every point we have at Vero Beach tomorrow, but that's not what we do here, because every family's different. And one of the first things that I love to be able to talk to those families about is how they vacation, right? Because sure, you want the beach club, but are you going to, and you got to be honest with me, are you going to book 11 months out, 10 months out, 9 months out, 8 months out? Because if you're never going to do that, I will give you a tip. Do not buy the beach club. As much as you love it, don't buy it, because you're paying more per point, right? You're paying for that privilege of those 4 months. That's why people pay more for the beach club. That's why people pay more for the smallest resort right there at Walt Disney World, the Grand Floridian. That's why people pay more for the smallest of all of them, the Grand Californian, right? That's why the points are varied. So that's where we like to figure out, you've heard it online and people shout it from the rooftops too when folks go in chat groups and say, where should I buy? Buy where you want to stay. But I like to tell people, don't just buy where you want to stay. Buy where you want to stay if you're going to use it the right way. If you're not going to use it the right way, just like Marissa said,
Buy Saratoga.
buy Saratoga. Perfect, because we have a lot of volume of Saratoga. So you'll have plenty of point packages to pick from. And B, again, if you're not going to book more than 7 months out, Saratoga is a slam dunk. So it's
That's me. That's me. I never book more than like...
Welcome home, Damon.
Damon is notorious for somehow getting any room he wants like 2 months out somehow.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm
There's
just
the
lucky.
ones that are on Facebook that are like, I got the beach club for food and wine. And people are like, no, he's lying.
And I'm like, and I'm always like, everyone always talks about it, and I'm like, I don't understand why everyone complains. Like, I have never had a problem getting the room I wanted ever. See, now I have to knock on wood, though, because that might be a problem for me going forward. But, I mean, we're Saratoga people, and I've stayed there once, I think.
Yeah.
I mean, I that's just what we do. So for me, it works out perfectly. And I'm getting to the point now where I'm going to say this, but, like, I don't really care where I stay, really. Mm-hmm. Because, again, like, it doesn't really matter to me anymore. We're at that point in our Disneying that, like, we've seen and done everything, so it's a different vacation than people are just getting started. But you know what? I don't know if we had this question, but, a question kind of popped into my head. What is the top reason that people actually sell? Like, what do they tell you when they're selling back? Like, what is the big thing? Is it that they didn't use it? Is it money? Like, what do you actually, what would be the top 2 things, I guess, would be a better question.
So I would say one of the top ones is we get a lot of, like, people who joined DVC right when it opened. And they've used it. They've loved it. And I think one of the coolest things about owning Disney, and I think like anyone else who's owned a timeshare knows like the fear of selling a timeshare, is that I can't give this away even if I wanted to. Because the dues or the maintenance fees are so crazy compared to what the value of the resort is. The value of Disney is what you buy is, even though the years are decreasing down, the value of Disney just keeps going up and the demand never drops. So I think what's really cool about even the selling side of it is a lot of these members bought in right in the beginning. They've used it for 25 years and then they said, okay, great. Our kids are grown. We're not going to Disney as much.
We got those free park tickets for like 10 years.
Peace out. No, and then they go, you know what? We're going to sell this for the same of what we bought it for, maybe more. And that's the cool thing is they've had the full use of it. They decided it was a great thing. And it's actually funny. Tell the story about your member who wrote a letter.
They wrote a letter. They sold their old Key West. They bought it all the way back in 1991. They put it on the market. It sold really, really quickly. And I told them, and they were so happy. They wrote a letter and said, will you please forward this letter to the folks that are buying our membership? And I asked, can I read it? And she's like, oh my God, of course. It was the most, and I'll have to see if I can try to find it to send to you. It was just the most heartfelt, sweet thing of this family that said, sadly, it's just time for us to give up our Disney Vacation Club membership. But we want the next family that has this to know how magical it has been for us. All the amazing memories that we've had over the last 20 years. We just want to make sure that you take care of it. Give it a good home. I mean, it's such,
so
and
sweet.
we
like selling
get
a
that
house.
all
We really
the time.
do.
We really don't get people that sell. I mean, maybe if it's like someone bought like a year ago, those are different kind of circumstances.
Of course.
But honestly, 9 out of 10 times the stories you get, I mean, I have goosebumps
They're so
right
sweet.
now. And they're so sweet and they're so happy and they love it. And like Marissa said too, it doesn't hurt that they're, financially doing pretty well for what they bought. And that's what we love about folks that buy with us. Because odds are, if you buy with us, right? Say you buy Saratoga Springs for us for, around $100 a point. If you need to sell that thing down the road, odds are you're going to do just fine versus having to spend, say, $185 a point or $200 a point. So, yeah, it's an amazing thing to be able to see how Disney Vacation Club has just changed so many lives and how so many lives would be so different. And I love it when we transfer it from one and then the next family. And sometimes when people put in bids for different listings, we'll even get like in the comment section, please tell this family that we've been to Disney 947 times and it's always been our dream to own Disney Vacation Club.
Tomorrow's our daughter's birthday, so if we could close on that day.
This is just like buying a house.
It really is.
It really is. Yeah.
It's fun. And, just for those that don't know, if you go on DVCResaleMarket.com, they have a wonderful tool that will tell you the value of what your what your timeshare is worth. So, and I did that recently just to see what Bay Lake was worth for, like, my contract was worth. And
Nobody
I was like,
wants to stay at Bay Lake, though, Tom. Come on.
I stayed there once.
It's not walking distance to Magic Kingdom, right?
But it's a great tool. And when I did that, I looked at it and I was like, man, I could sell my contract now, and I think be down like $1,000 from when I bought it, and I got more use out of it than $1,000. So I feel in my mind I'm coming out ahead.
Exactly.
So yeah.
Yeah.
Love it.
All right, I got another question lined up here for you guys. So I guess, we talked about selling, but going back to buying, we got Mackenzie asking, what are the finance options for resale using DVC Resale Market specifically?
Yeah, so we have a couple of great recommendations for financing. And one of the great things is, and Derek and I saw this a lot when we work for Disney directly, a lot of times you do meet with families who love it. They're ready to go. We check credit and maybe some bumps down the road. And it's not something, Disney has a very, very high standard in terms of their financing. Yeah. So there are a lot of families that get credit denied and are not able to make this purchase. So one of the top finance companies that we recommend is Monera. And I'm sure many of you have heard of them or perhaps used them. But they've got a really sophisticated algorithm where they don't actually check credit. They base the purchase off the collateral of what you're buying. So let's say you're looking at a 200-point Saratoga contract and you're looking at it for 105 per point. You can actually go to their loan quote, type that in, and they're going to tell you 3 options of monthly payments, 3 options of down payments. And if you're ready to move forward, you just choose which one and you're automatically approved. So for a lot of families, that's a great route to go. And the good news with that is it's almost identical to Disney's interest rates and all of that. So it really is a fantastic option. Another one of our great recommendations is Vacation Club loans. They do check credit, but again, fantastic company to work with and very similar, if not a little bit less than Disney's interest rates.
So I have a question. Again, this may be one of those things that's not true. I don't know, so that's why I'm going to ask it. But from my understanding, though, is that when you pull a loan for direct from Disney, though, it does not show up on your credit report? Or is that just one of those, things that we just think is true that's not? Because that is something I kind of remember, but I could be wrong.
Sounds kind of magical, but...
Yeah, sounds kind of magical. And it's funny because I don't remember it showing up on my current credit report either. That's why I was just curious, but maybe I missed it.
When you do finance with Disney, it's a hard pull when they check your credit. Mm-hmm. And so it will show up that there's an inquiry, but their loan, because Disney's not a Disney is their own financial institution, and they don't send that loan out to anyone else. Okay. So it's done internally, so Disney's the bank. So because of that, they're not reporting it. Okay. If they had to foreclose on you, they would just shut your membership down.
Gotcha.
So that's why Monera's system works the way it does as well. Same thing, because they're not doing a credit check, obviously there's no pull there. But also it's not showing as a credit on your credit report, just because it's something where, let's say you were to foreclose, Monera is just going to take that contract out from you. So it's not something where you're having to then have it be in your credit, bankruptcy, anything like that.
Oh, so it's the same thing then going that route.
It is, yeah. Mm-hmm.
And see, and that's funny, because that's something I didn't know. And as we talked on some earlier shows, I was kind of chit-chatting because I'm in the process of moving and buying another house. And I was like, I can't really do anything right now because I don't really want to show up in my credit report because the mortgage people said, you know what, you can't get anything new on your credit report and all that good stuff. So, a query on it is different than obviously, having something show up. So that's something that I didn't even know, which would change my personal opinion, on resale myself, just from this conversation. Mm-hmm. That's good to know. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Let's see what else we got here for you. No, so Kathy asks, why are the closing costs with resales so much more expensive than direct? Is that, first of all, let's address that. Is that a myth that they are more expensive? And number 2, if they are more expensive, why are they more expensive?
So it's kind of twofold with this. It's not a myth. If you shop around in terms of like resale and DVC, there are a lot of companies out there do have some quite high closing costs, and a lot of them also charge admin fees. The good news with us is it's kind of a myth with our company. And the cool thing is Derek and we recently came over. I came over from Disney just about a year ago, and so did Derek. Yeah. So we know the closing costs, and we have a really good comparison of that. And our closing costs with the DVC Resale Market are within maybe $100 of the closing cost direct. So that's the great thing. There is hardly any difference buying resale from DVC Resale Market versus buying direct. Again, there's other companies out there that do charge admin fees or higher closing costs. And a lot of people will ask that question of us too. Right. And since we're the number one resale company on the market, like Derek said, we've sold over 2,000 contracts so far this year. We can really leverage that. So there's multiple title companies out there. And we've really used the amount we've sold to leverage that and really handpick just a few companies that we work with. And because of that, we can get those costs down to match or come very close to what Disney has for closing costs.
That's good to know. I was curious about that because I do like when you look at your listings, it shows the different, kind of, it gives you an estimate of what the final closing costs are going to be with the purchase price and everything. So
is it bad that I'm looking at listings right now?
When you choose your agent in the drop-down box, it's Marissa.
DEREK.
I want to follow up with you guys later and find out how many of our listeners went to Marissa and how many went to Derek.
Oh, man. Everyone will pick Derek first until they get to know me. And then they'll see I'm a sweetheart, too.
We can both work with you. We are the social media team here at the DVC Resale Market. So if you make that offer and you just simply cannot pick an agent, just put in that comment section, right? Say, Derek and Marissa were so charming. I can't decide which one I want.
Yeah, I'm still on the fence.
And then they'll just wind up picking Nick. So that's fine.
There we go.
Right. Okay, I got another question here for you guys. So for the process of buying resale, how long does the process take from start to finish? Catherine's asking because she says she already has a direct and it was very quick, so she's hesitant about doing the resale.
Sure. Yeah, that's a big question we get to is, well, how long does it take? Because, whether I buy direct, and that's, again, one of the benefits of buying direct is you're literally a member within minutes, right? I mean, you can have a member card printed, you can make a reservation. With us, it does take a little bit longer, but at the end of the day, when folks realize and say, well, how much is my time worth? Right? And if you're looking at a closing process, for example, and we have a great graph that we'll make sure to give to you guys along with some links for a lot of the topics that we've discussed here. So if you guys can get those out to your great listeners, they'll really kind of bring a lot of this to life. But so folks will look and say, okay, so the resale market, I heard it's about approximately, I like to say, and Marissa does too, 60 to 80 days from start to finish. Can it be less than that? Sure. So at the end of the day, when folks look and say, well, wait a second, I could buy a membership and I could save like $10, $15, maybe even $20,000. You know what? I think I'm good with waiting like 60 to 70 days to, be able to do that. Because again, a lot of the process kind of comes down to, of course, working directly with Disney Vacation Club itself, like Marissa talked about, right? There's that right of first refusal process. So that can gobble up sometimes the first 30 days. And then you've got Disney's got to issue the estoppel certificate. That can be about 14 to 21 days. And then the title closes. So we've got some time after that. And then once it's recorded and closed, which is always the best part of our job, is when we get to tell people and say, congratulations, your contract's closed. And then they say, great, can I make a reservation today? And I say, no, you got to wait about 2 more weeks and then we'll get you the information. So then Disney, once it closes, then they're mailed all the information that they can go online and book. We've had people close within, 50 days. Again, it's just a wild card because sometimes if it's that right of first refusal, man, wow, it's done in 5 days. Other times it's painfully waiting for folks. I know it is. And it's day 29 and day 30. So again, at the end of the day, we like to say 60 to 80 days from start to finish.
So that right of first refusal process is the part that takes the longest, though. That's the...
Yes, that, okay. And then Disney does the estoppel right after that. So you're talking the first 40 to 50 days right there.
So it's a lot of, I like to tell folks, hurry up and wait. Yep. Hurry up and wait. Yep. Get those contracts back to us. We need them within 7 days. All right, now sit tight for 30 days and we'll talk to you soon. Hopefully with good news.
Yeah, I'm sure that's the best news when you can come back and say that Disney didn't exercise their, right of first refusal.
It is such a great feeling, and it's funny because we have such an amazing contract and administration team that they actually are the ones that get to share the good news of when the contract passes, right? We're notified, usually from Nick, where he says, the following contracts were purchased back from Disney, and we're the ones that have to make that phone call. Reaper. We're the Grim Reaper. So I always like to tell folks, once it goes into ROFR, which is short for right of first refusal, once it goes into ROFR, you want to hear from Christina or Janan, right? Because they're going to have the good news. if during that 30-day process, all of a sudden you get an email from me and I say, hey, you know what? Can we talk about your contract real quick? You don't want to hear from me during those 30 days because I'm going to be the one to say, sad news, they bought it back. However, the good news is, and that's another question too that folks have is, well, what happens? Do I lose all my money? What happened? No, it is so seamless because of the great partnerships that we have that most folks simply say, you know what? Give me a day or two. Let me go back in. Let me find another listing and let me basically try it again. You know, we don't ask for any additional money. We just transfer over the existing escrow that we already have on file. Seamless. We try it again and hopefully that second time's the charm.
So what is that escrow usually?
Usually it's about 10%.
Okay.
10% maximum is $2,000. So no contract would hold more than $2,000 as an escrow deposit.
Gotcha. Okay, thank you.
I think we should probably do one more question here, and then move on.
I think we're going to have them back.
No, we're definitely going to have them back for sure, and come up with some even crazier questions.
Yeah.
But you know, Mike wrote a really long question here, and I don't know if I want to read the whole thing, but I think the most interesting.
Don't do Mike dirty like that. Read the whole thing. We got time.
All right. Do you want to read it, Damon?
I don't have it up in front of me, Tom. How many times is Tom going to ask me the same question?
I just assumed that you would pull it up. As of late, this is from Mike. As of late, it seems that most resale contracts with great pricing either have an exorbitant amount of points, get taken by Disney via right of first refusal, or basically gutted of points for the first 2 years. With this in mind, along with the lack of benefits, discounts, future perks that buying resale carries, are you actually saving as much buying resale as advertised? Seems like by the time you find a reasonably sized contract that Disney doesn't want and is loaded with points for the first 2 years, that price isn't that much lower. And for those with the first 2 use years gutted, you basically have erased your savings right there. Additionally, and this is the second question, if Disney wanted to offer extensions to the 2042 resorts at some point, regardless of the likeliness of this happening, could they choose to offer that extension to direct buyers only, leaving resale purchasers no option to extend? I know, Damon, that was a question you had too.
Yeah, I mean, I was curious about that. I mean, I look at, what is Saratoga end year again?
54.
54?
Yeah.
So, I mean, man,
2054.
I'm going to be old. I mean, I guess someone's going to be pushing me in a wheelchair at that point. So I don't know how much I'm going to need to buy after that. But yeah, I was curious.
Yeah, so what do you guys think about that one?
Yeah, Mike, wow.
It's a lot, I know.
Here we go.
That's the question.
Well, I think the biggest thing with Mike's question, and I think there's a misconception on right of first refusal. A lot of people think, like, if I got a great deal on a contract and it's loaded on points for the next 2 years, that's the one Disney's going for. And again, Disney's looking at bottom line. They're really not looking for available points. So sorry, Damon, if you're on a wait list, but no. So their major goal is not to go after, like, say, loaded contracts. They're just saying, this is my bottom line. This is what I'm looking for on price per point. And that's what we're finding them buying. And to be honest, when we look at our reports over 2018, a lot of those contracts are stripped contracts.
Yeah.
So, but just to kind of do numbers on, like, a comparison of direct versus resale, if you take one of the probably the most popular buybacks, or sorry, one of the most popular resale purchases is Animal Kingdom. Now, Animal Kingdom is also one of the top buybacks for Disney. So if we look at kind of comparisons, Disney right now is at 171 per point for Animal Kingdom. So if you take that and say the average resale contract for Animal Kingdom sells around 107. So in comparison, and let's say an average contract size is about 200 points. So if you say, okay, 171 per point and the average on the resale side is 107, that's about a $64 per point gap. So if you take an average contract of about 200 points, you're talking almost a $13,000 gap. So when you take away the fact that Disney really isn't looking for loaded contracts, and you take in consideration that financial gap, I mean, $13,000, that's a big deal. And if you look at the perks that you're getting, again, if you're not able to go to all the member events, or even probably the biggest perk in terms of, like, financial savings would be the annual pass discount. You're talking about $100 savings. So family of four, $400. Once you get the annual pass, you're already going to have the discounts off shopping and dining, so that kind of negates the rest. But, I mean, if you're saying $400 a year, it's still going to take you quite a bit of time to ever hit that difference. And Derek, you kind of alluded to this earlier. It's the time value of money, too. So if you're saving $13,000 a day, long term, that's a big thing over those years. So is it worth it just to get $400 for a family of 4 off annual passes?
Off a current annual pass promotion. I want to stress, I was one of those that, man, I loved my free valet parking when I purchased my Disney Vacation Club membership. Don't have the valet parking anymore.
We do get free parking, though.
Yes, and that's another myth. Resale members, yes, you still get free parking. You still get fast passes. You still get to do the Magical Express. You still get to do the early entry, and you still get to do the late nights. You do
add on the dining plan.
Add on the dining plan, everything else. So yes, absolutely.
So what are your thoughts on the second part of that question about, extensions? And will it be any different? I mean, I know that's just a guess from you guys, but just more of your thoughts.
It's hard to say if Disney's going to do it. There's so many rumors, and even when we were working there was a time where we thought, okay, this is for sure. They're going to do a boardwalk extension, and then that rumor kind of died. So there's a lot of rumors out there. It's hard to say what exactly Disney will do with that. But just to give you some reference again, Disney's in this as a profit-making company. So if you say, hey, we're going to extend boardwalk, and we're going to extend that until the year 2060, and we're going to charge everyone $30 per point to do that. I really can't imagine Disney saying, okay, we're going to take your $30 per point and your $30 per point, but you want to pay us $30 per point, we're not going to let you. Yeah. Even with Old Key West right now, if you bought resale Old Key West that expired in 2042, you can actually still take that to Disney and do that extension.
That's interesting.
Interesting.
Tom, I have one more question for them. Just again, I think this is probably something, just because I'm sitting here looking at the website and the numbers and things like that. So, for me, interestingly enough, if I was to buy my 50 points at Saratoga, I want a strip contract, because I don't care about the next 2 years, because my daughter is actually young enough where we still just throw her on a cot or in a closet or whatever the case may be.
Literally in a closet. Literally
I have pictures of her in the closet. Literally in the closet at Boardwalk. Because the closet at Boardwalk's kind of big. So for me, I actually would like a strip contract. I'm looking at like 2020 as the next time where I actually need the points. So I'm looking at 2 contracts right in front of me right now from the website. A 0 150 150, right? And a 0 14 160 for the use years for 18, 19, and 20. So I see that they're both approximately, the same price. The price per point is 112 and then 102. So, what's the true benefit across the board for people that are looking at contracts that, the first 2 years aren't there, right, point-wise? They said the 0, 14, 161. Listen, I don't need that many points, but for me, that's an interesting contract over a 0, 150, 150, because going forward, I'm getting 160 from, 2020 on until, 54. So help us understand how that, cost per point is calculated, obviously, on a contract like that, where they're stripped a little bit, right? And, what you see, how you would approach somebody like myself that says, you know what, my daughter's young enough, she's, the youngest of the 3, so I don't necessarily need them right now.
So, and that's the biggest thing. And again, like Derek said, one of the cool things about our team is that we are all former cast members. So we really can get that insight from people. And our concern is, how do you vacation? How do you plan on using this? And one of the first questions I ask people when they're looking to either add on points or purchase new points is, are you planning on vacationing in the next year? If so, we need to look for a contract that's going to have points for you to use. Did you already do your vacation? Or maybe you already booked your 2019 vacation? Then let's look for something stripped. Because if you look at the pricing, and actually if you go into our value estimator on our site and you type in, let's say a Saratoga that has 150 in 2019 and 150 in 2020, it's going to be worth, in terms of our value estimator, $5 more per point, give or take. So that's kind of how the pricing structure works and what you're going to see on our site. Ultimately, it is the seller's property and they're selling it. So they're going to have final say in what they're listing it for, or if they're reducing the price to getting more aggressive. So every now and then you can find a reduced listing where they have gotten aggressive and it is a lower pricing, but that's typically the gap you're going to find if something has available points. Another thing too, for families who aren't planning to go, and a lot of people, this is another question we get, is people go, okay, I'm looking at this contract. It has no points until the year 2020, but man, I'm going to be stuck paying those dues for those years. If you actually click on our listings, you can see in the notes, if points are used in 2019, obviously dues haven't come out yet. The seller will be crediting back the buyer based on today's dues pricing, but that's a nice credit. So you're saying, hey, not only am I able to buy it secure on today's prices, because who knows what the resale prices are going to be 2 or 3 years ago, especially with Disney doing such dramatic increases, But also, you're getting those dues covered right up front, too. So that initial purchase price goes way down.
Gotcha. Now that makes sense. All right, so I just have to wait for you guys to find me, a 0050. When you got one of those, let me know. That's what I'm looking for, 0050.
We're looking for it.
Well, I was going to say on the flip side of that, I'm like the opposite of Damon, I guess. That I'm the guy who's planning like 11 months out, and I also want poly, so I'll probably be coming and talking to you guys about a poly contract at some point in the future here too.
Get a stick with your home resort.
Yeah. I love my poly.
Got a planner here.
Got a planner. Just remember to put Derek down in that comment section.
That's all you gotta
do. And also too for everybody out there, and thank you for all these great questions. Marissa and I could just keep doing this forever and ever and ever. Reach out to us on our Facebook group, right? We have a really fantastic Facebook page. First and foremost, our website. I don't want to scream it from the rooftops, but it's an amazing website. Our website, if you have not been, dvcresalemarket.com, take a look at it. It's got FAQs on buying, FAQs on selling, and the listings. It's super easy to navigate through. We've got tutorial videos on there as well. But we have a Facebook page. Like we said, Marissa and I are the social media team here for the DVC Resale Market. So check out our Facebook page, which, Marissa, what's the best way for them to find that?
So you can just type in the DVC Resale Market group, or you can find it through our page on Facebook, which is just DVC Resale Market.
And you could email us questions, shoot us questions through that inbox, or of course, email us individually if you choose as well.
We like to have some debates on our page too, so it's always fun. We have members on there too, so we'll get involved as well as the members. We love the feedback and the questions.
We have a very passionate group of folks out there, and we love it. we love being a part of it.
We definitely understand. And you guys have a great app too, actually, where you can put in what you're looking for, and it keeps like a little search out there for whatever contract you're looking for with UCR and all that type of stuff. I just downloaded that recently too. So,
and also too, if I could add one more thing too, is a lot of folks sometimes have a lot of questions, but maybe they don't want to pick up the phone, or maybe they're at work and they can't pick up the phone, right? Because they're looking at Disney Vacation Club while they're at work. You can go on our website and there's a chat feature that's down in the lower right where it just says chat with us. Every business day during our hours. And again, we're open 9 to 9, Monday through Friday, and 9 to 6 on Saturday and Sunday. You can chat with one of us via the live chat feature. I was even looking back at some of these stats, Marissa, and I think you and I, since February, I think have done close to maybe 3,000 to 4,000 different chats with people. And I'm not joking, like 3,000 to 4,000. And we love it. Yeah. So it's a great opportunity for folks to just get all of their questions if they're not able to physically pick up the phone and actually talk to us. So there's no excuse for anyone out there not getting your questions answered when it comes to us.
Well, we really appreciate your all's time today. It's been great, and you guys feel free to hang around for the rest of the show if you'd like, for the rest of our nonsense that we'll be doing for the rest of the show, the non-informative stuff that we're going to do, where we just give our ridiculous opinions. But we really appreciated you guys being on. Great answers, great to our questions, and I'm sure our listeners will very much appreciate it too. So.
Yeah, thanks for having us, and thanks for great questions. Again, like Derek said, it's so fun for us to kind of get those questions asked, and it's fun for us to be able to answer them together.
Thank you for having us. We loved it.
Great. Well, thanks, guys. And with that being said, bye. See you guys. With that being said, we'll do our first ad as well for DVC Resale Market, since they are our new sponsor. And so we so appreciate them being on today. But, DVC Resale Market is the leader in the DVC resale industry, with 11 former DVC guides and 2 former DVC quality assurance managers. So if you're thinking about buying DVC, browse the huge selection of DVC resale listings anywhere with DVC. I mean, they have more DVC listings than anybody else out there. As they mentioned before, they're the number one company out there. So, they have DVC experts on hand 7 days a week to answer your questions. You just heard from Marissa and Derek, and they are obviously very knowledgeable about all of these things. So, you can reach them anytime by reaching out to DVC Resale Market. If you're thinking of selling, turn to the friendly professionals at DVC Resale Market, where over 98% of their listings sell within 30 30 days, and over 2,400 contracts were sold in 2017 alone. They sold 2,400 contracts last year. That's crazy, and they're already at 2,100 for this year, as they mentioned before. So you can find them on DVCResaleMarket.com. You can also call them at 844 DVC Pros, which is 382-7767. And, you know, when you give them a call, when you reach out to them, let them know that Welcome Home sent you. You know, we have a lot of great supporters on this show, and, you know, let them know that you heard about them from us. That'll, you know, let them know that their work on our show is...
They might be nicer to you. We don't know.
I think they will be, personally.
I think they might be.
But again, that's DVCResaleMarket.com, 1-844-DVC Pros to reach them. So thanks so much. We really appreciate DVC Resale Market sponsoring the show and for coming out and telling us a little bit about answering questions. Great. So...
Yeah, that was a lot of fun. But let's how about we change gears? Right? Yeah, we got some other stuff to talk about here. This first one that we have. So I guess I don't know how many of you have been to Artist Point. I actually, honestly, you have?
Yeah.
Okay, so I guess
I ate there on my honeymoon, actually.
Oh, okay. I this was like not on my radar until I saw this, that I guess they're turning into character dining, and I didn't even know that this was a thing. Like I knew about Whispering Canyon in Wilderness Lodge, but I didn't know about Artist Point at all, and I don't know why it never hit my radar, but I guess, yeah, it used to be, you know, a nicer dining, or I shouldn't say nicer, but like a standard dining experience.
A signature dining experience.
Yeah.
Yeah, and now they're adding Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs in there, so you get the characters, right? So...
So the menu is changing, though.
Yes.
See, that's the only downside to this. I mean, that I would say. I mean, that's the only downside. But I'm a big fan of getting to meet, you know, Snow White. I wish they would have kind of keyed into all seven dwarfs, but okay.
Maybe there'll be special events for that. That'd be cool.
It'd be cool if they switched them out, though, too. Although I could see people getting upset and being like, well, I wanted to meet Grumpy this time, and Sleepy was there. You know, like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
no, I understand. I guess Dopey and Grumpy, honestly, at the end of the day, are probably the two most popular.
Yeah.
But I like Sleepy. I can understand that. I mean, or like we said, you could wait online for 3 hours at the Halloween party, and then you'd be all set.
And then just completely waste your time and not take it.
Kind of like I did once, which I'll never do again. But yes. No, I understand that.
For me, for this, Artist Point is a great restaurant. And
yeah.
Honestly, I think it's one of the more romantic, you know, take your significant other on a date type of restaurants at Disney. It's one of the best, I think, because it's quiet.
I guess so. I don't look at Disney like that at all.
I understand.
To me, there's nothing romantic about Disney. It's fun, but okay.
I mean, I think there's opportunities for that depending on where you go. Like, we went to Be Our Guests for dinner on our honeymoon, and it was so loud in there that it was like, this is the least romantic thing we possibly could have done. You know?
Yeah, I just don't put, like, on one hand I don't have Disney, and on the other hand I have romantic. I just don't have that.
That's fair.
You know, but that's just me. I'll tell you, you know what the big thing is for me as a person that doesn't eat seafood or beef? It's pork crazy there, right? Like there's pork, and then there's pork, and then there's pork, right? Like when you get rid of like pork, like that's a problem for me because I like that as an option, and it was really good stuff there. So that's the only downside I see. But I like I said, I like Snow White, Dopey, and Grumpy, so I'm cool with it, even if it's just one less place, you know. But here's the thing with Disney Springs now, that kind of all goes out the window too. Because you have Disney Springs, we have all these other opportunities for fine dining. Yeah. So keep the characters at the places. I'm cool with that. Like I'm good with that.
And yeah, I guess to be fair, Wilderness Lodge is also like that's pretty close to Magic Kingdom, and like I think every other resort near Magic Kingdom has character dining, right?
Yeah, that's actually a good point. Yeah, because Ohana has character dining, Chef Mickey's.
Chef Mickey.
1900 Park Fair. So.
were you not liking what was the Chef Mickey?
Oh, Chef Mickey was probably the worst experience food-wise I've ever had at Disney.
But it's a character meal.
It is. We've been down this road before. The food is absolutely atrocious. Like there's just no other way to say it. Like it's just bad. Right? Like it's just bad. No, it's just bad.
I think if you're going to do Chef Mickey, I feel like you do breakfast because you can't go wrong with a breakfast buffet. And it's cheaper.
But then you're paying like you're still paying a ton of money. And I'll give you that. If someone was forcing me to go to Chef Mickey again, like I was being forced, or it was free, right? Either one, yeah, I would have to do breakfast, because otherwise it is just no bueno.
I get that. No bueno.
Okay.
I don't know. I get the feeling, just all the times I saw Artist Point, and the fact that it wasn't even on your radar, Trevor, that says to me that Disney was like, okay, this restaurant is underperforming. Maybe,
I think it was. I would agree with that.
Because I don't think I ever saw it full. It's not one of those restaurants that was like a tough reservation to get.
But you know what the other thing is, too? To see the dwarves in Snow White, right, it's tough. Like, that's tough. So I think that this was just a good way to bring those characters somewhere. Again, pay to play, right? Okay, some people are going to pay to play, and I'm okay with that. You know my feelings on that. I'm always all right with that. So this is a good pay to play, Snow White, Dopey, and Grumpy.
Yeah. I agree.
The problem is the next thing we're talking about is so much more interesting that, like,
it is.
I can't see past it. So I think we just need to wrap that one up and start talking about Star Wars.
Let's do it. Let's talk about Star Wars. Go ahead. Trevor, you want to read that one?
Damon wants in on this one.
I don't know how to pronounce what we're
I don't
about.
either. Oga's, I think.
Oga's
Yeah.
Cantina? Sure.
Okay.
All right. So we have some more information about Oga's Cantina. So that's what the restaurant's going to be called. And I guess pretty much what we're talking about is that, it's going to be some sort of local-ish Star Wars place that, you may see friend or foe. I guess that's going to mean, like, we're going to see some kind of craziness like you would see at a cantina, like we saw in the movies, right? Yeah. It's going to be something along those lines. I like that. I'm wondering how that all works, right? In terms of, I always look at it like if I'm eating and I'm paying money, like I need to have good food. And what they're talking about is having some different, I'm reading it, some different vessels. Like, yeah, that's cool. But to me, like, the food's still got to be good. And that's why the place that's over in Animal Kingdom,
what's that again? Cantina?
Yeah, like the food there is off the chain. So like I'm good with that, and the atmosphere is okay. But just let's make sure that we keep the atmosphere at a high level as well as the food. So it seems like there's going to be some interesting stuff to eat, which I like that. But just don't let it be just about kind of the presentation, but let's let it be about the food too. So that's what I'm hoping here. I don't know what you guys think though.
No, I agree. I wonder how they're going to pull this off, is my question with all of this, right? Because obviously they're going to have a lot of people in character wandering around this restaurant, right?
But says who? But says who, though? Why do you think that?
Based on just kind of the description that they put out there, that, you run into friend or foe. Like, so obviously there's going to be stormtroopers wandering around, right? I mean, and then I'm assuming, I don't know.
See, that's all I see. So for me, like, because they mentioned stormtroopers, actually in the article, but again, this is still not even locked down at this point. I don't think we're going to see 10 different, I don't think it's going to be a character place. I think you might see a stormtrooper come in and out, like on some sort of set schedule, and then somebody from, the Rebels come in and out on some sort of set schedule. But I think it's going to be more about the atmosphere. So there's this place over in Universal, Myth, I think. Is that what it's called? Myth? I don't know. It usually wins the awards for best food, but like it's got a pretty cool atmosphere. It's over by the Poseidon place, that little Poseidon show that they have over in Universal. And like, if it's something along those lines, I'm actually going to be pretty intrigued by it because it's good food as well as having some sort of atmosphere. And that's what I'm kind of hoping for, to be honest with you.
Yeah. For some reason, I keep thinking about, in episode 7, when they went to, what was the lady's name?
Oh yeah, with the goggles.
Yeah,
dude, we're horrible Disney people.
Yeah, we're so bad.
I'm sorry, I'm terrible at the new movies. I cannot keep the characters straight. But yeah, for some reason, I keep thinking it's going to be like that. But also, yeah, I know they've said stormtroopers and everything, but they've also got
Maz Kanata.
Yeah, Maz Kanata. Yep.
Yeah,
I just looked it up too.
Thank you. Yes,
I'm sure someone's going to give us a hard time about how we pronounce that too. So
yeah, so I was thinking Oga was going to be like Maz, but yeah, I also know that with the new movies coming out, they're supposed to go to Batu in the new movies, and there'll probably be some new characters that get revealed in the movies, and I wouldn't be surprised if they're just saying stormtroopers for now, and then it'll be here's the tie-in with the new characters that we couldn't tell you about because, they don't want to spoil the movie.
I don't know if I see that. I mean, again, it could be, but what I see is more of a heavy theme just a straight up theme. You know what I mean? Like where the actual place itself is what's cool about it. Not that we're going to see people. Again, I don't know. Like I look at it more like the Pandora sort of place. Like I kind of see it like that more than anything.
Well, but in this concept art they're showing, though, I mean, there's several people in character there. I mean, they're
concept art is concept art.
It is. That's totally true. So,
I mean, if you look at the concept art, it looks like a flipping movie. Like I don't think we're going to see I don't think you're going to feel like you're part of the movie. I'm sorry to say. Like it'll be cool. Yeah. Don't get me wrong, but you're not going to be like trading blasters under the table or anything like that.
That's true.
It was cool.
I do think the coolest part about this is that the DJ is going to be RX-24, who, those of you that went on Star Tours a long time ago, was the guy that was piloting your Star Tours vehicle. So that's pretty cool that they're repurposing him.
I do have to wonder if they're going to pull him out of Star Tours, because you do actually see him in the queue for Star Tours. So
see, and I think that's what maybe we'll see, when we go that friend or foe, is that we're going to see that sort of stuff where, like, yes, on the wall or in the corner, like there's going to be a robot or something along those lines. Not that they're going to have actual characters, like people walking around. I just don't see that. But I could see like that Star Tours, C-3PO sort of thing going on, R2-D2. Like, I could see that. That's what I'm thinking.
Yeah.
I just wonder how it's any different from like a character meal at that point, though.
But that's what I'm saying, because I don't think they're going to have those people walking around. I think it's just going to be, the robot stuck in specific places to make you feel like you're there, and that's how that's going to get away from being a character thing, right? It's not going to be a character thing. But then, they have to be careful about, everyone is going to want to take a picture with them. It's going to be like, wow, how do we? I'm sure Disney's going to have it worked out. That's for sure. Or like the Harry Potter stores where there's a limit. Right, that's another thing you have to remember that Universal does, right? At the wand places, there's a limit of people that come in and out the door. It's very possible that happens as well.
No, that's when I said how are they going to pull this off. I think that's what I mean more than anything, because they're really going to have to limit how many people go into this place. If it was just completely crowded and that you couldn't even walk in there, it would completely ruin the whole experience, I feel like. And people are going to be walking up to stormtroopers asking for their autograph. It's going to feel weird.
I'm going to catch some real hate on this, but I almost think that, dude, give me an upcharge for Star Wars Land.
I mean, there was an April Fool's joke that came out last year about that, but I wouldn't be surprised if there's some packages out there for it.
Well,
I think that's what the hotel's going to be.
Yeah, I was going to say that's going to be the hotel, right?
Yeah, exactly.
There's your answer.
Yeah,
exactly. That's the upcharge, right?
And I'm okay with that. I'm good on that. So.
Yeah,
get me to that hotel.
All right. Well, anything else we want to talk about this?
No,
not yet.
Well, the one thing you're not going to find.
We'll definitely talk about it a bunch of times.
Yeah, I know, right? The one thing you're not going to find in this new restaurant are straws or lids
on your cups.
I'm so annoyed that we're talking about this even.
I'm not annoyed. I mean, listen.
It's good. I mean,
it is what it is.
Oh no, it's a great thing. I feel like it's this is a topic that's being beat to death in the Disney groups and the Disney media in general.
But here's the thing: they're still available by request. So why is it even a problem?
It's not.
Right? You tell me they're not available by request. You tell me that you can't get one no matter what.
Yeah,
I'll have a discussion about it. But there's no discussion, because if you want one, ask. If you don't. Boom, done.
Well. And, people are already saying, you can go buy reusable straws on Amazon, which, I mean, that's fine.
But why do I need to if I can ask?
I know. That's what I'm saying. But people are taking it to the next level. And, you can smuggle them in with your selfie sticks, I guess, if they become contraband. So.
I love that it's contraband, yeah. There was that meme going around, too, where it was like, it looked like two drug dealers, like, handing stuff off.
He's like, you got any of those plastic straws?
Yeah.
Right? I mean, but that's the thing. It's just plastic straws. But, I mean, Animal Kingdom doesn't have plastic straws anyway.
Yeah, they had paper straws.
And what's the problem with that? They're fine.
Yeah.
But I think it's that they're just going to stop handing out straws altogether, so you won't even get the paper straws, right?
So here's the question. When I ask for a straw, do I get a paper straw or a plastic straw?
I would hope a paper one.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't mind those paper straws, personally.
No,
I know
they're
after a
fine,
while they start to get soggy, but they're not. They work.
If you're wasting your time sitting around drinking a drink, then move on. Like then
that's kind of the point,
perfect. Yeah, it's a perfect way for you to be like, oh, my straw's a little soggy. I've been sitting here too long. All right, maybe it's time for me to go.
I saw a statistic that Disney World by itself was using 175 million straws a year, which I'm all for these kind of environmental things that they're doing. That's a lot of plastic that they're putting in the world. So I think this is a great thing. I think it's great that they're taking these things away. I mean, my local park, outside of Charlotte here where I live is Carowinds. And last time I went to Carowinds, they didn't even give me a straw and a lid. And they told me it was for cost cutting, which it might be. Some of that might be for Disney too. But I do believe that Disney does things not just for money, but also for the environment too. I mean, they're putting solar arrays in. They do a lot of recycling things. And but, this is not all that uncommon anymore. This is something that's becoming a lot more common. People are moving towards these types of things, and companies are moving towards these types of things to be a little more environmentally responsible. So I don't think it's a terrible thing, especially like you said, because you can still get the straws. And apparently Disney's also selling a straw kit too that's, I think, like metal straws or something like that too.
I can't do metal and drinks. It's not for me.
I think it was metal. It could be it could just be a reusable plastic. I thought I saw somebody said metal, but
yeah, I have fillings, so that's no bueno for me.
Yeah, that's a fair point. So I think that's as much time as we should spend on that one.
Yeah. So we have one more thing to talk about, because not only did we already spend a lot of time, but we start hinting that we have something special for the week in between.
So, I mean, do we want to just announce it? I mean,
no, I think we just have to leave it out there for right now.
Yeah,
we'll just leave that. That's the hint.
Ooh,
all right,
mysterious.
Yeah, I like it. It is mysterious. Yep. So I'll just tell all the listeners, keep an eye out. We release every other Monday. So if you're listening to this today, we're going to have keep an eye out for our podcast page the next Monday. I'll say that. So the in-between week. So anyway, rumor. We got one rumor here.
Yeah.
Who wants
Spaceship
to do this one?
Earth.
Yeah, you want to do this one, Trevor?
Yeah. So Spaceship Earth is undergoing an overhaul. If the rumors are true, the ride inside Spaceship Earth will see a refreshing of all scenes leading up to the Industrial Revolution portion, where the newspapers are being printed by the young boy. And changes on a grand scale to every scene following that, all the way to the end of the ride. Sources also indicate that the scene in the dome at the top of the attraction, where the guests look back at Earth from space, will be drastically reimagined, utilizing the latest projection mapping technologies. Yeah, I think it's kind of due. Like,
as sad as I feel about it, I would agree. Unfortunately,
well, and I'm glad. I think it's great that they're upgrading the technology, right? I mean, why not, right? There's new technology out there. This also makes sense because they dropped Siemens as the sponsor, right? So this signals to me that maybe a new sponsor is about to come in, right? Because most of the time they get those sponsors to pay for these things. So I'll be interested to see.
But lately they haven't even necessarily been having sponsors on things. Well, actually, I guess that's not true. They
Baby
still have
Bell and Toy Story. But I feel like they've been dropping a lot more sponsors lately. You're right. But it does... I don't know. It does feel like that maybe that's going to be the time. My question is, are they going to keep the same narrator? Are they going to do a new narrator? And if they're going to do a new narrator, who would it be? Who should it be?
I kind of like Judi Dench.
I like Judi Dench too.
Yeah, I mean, who would I replace her with?
I feel like the obvious choice is Morgan Freeman, right?
I was going to say that too.
I mean, how could you not say Morgan Freeman, right?
I already had his voice in the back of my head, so yeah, I'll accept Morgan Freeman. But no, I mean, there's no reason why they have to even change it, right? Because the scenes themselves, the queuing is going to stay the same.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I guess if the scenes themselves change drastically enough, she's talking about, I don't know, but yeah, like they could change the scene to the point where it just doesn't make sense with the audio. So
yeah, or they could bring her back in to re-record. I don't know. I mean, I would assume that they would re-record it regardless, but I don't know. I agree though with you guys. I think it's due. Spaceship Earth is actually one of my favorite things. And I don't know if you guys ever noticed this, but there is this distinct smell when you walk up to Spaceship Earth. I don't know if it's some sort of chemical they use the big giant wheel that makes the thing turn, but or it's just the air conditioning or something. But it's like that weird thing that triggers like a childhood memory in me. You know what I mean? It's just got that. I don't know. It's something that I remember from being a kid.
Hold on, the smell leading up to it, not the smell inside of the burning stuff.
That does too, but there is a smell leading up to it. Like when you get to that last ramp, as you're walking into it, there is a distinct smell that and maybe no one notices this except for me. but I've always noticed this.
You're going to make me hyper aware of this when I go in January, and I'm going to be standing there looking like an idiot.
Just smelling the
like
air.
Sniffing the air, going, what is that?
I swear, there's a smell.
Yeah. Okay.
You're talking about the burning smell in the Rome burning scene, right?
Yeah.
That's right. Okay. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But no, I'm thinking about it, and when I'm there, it's humid, and all I smell outside is hot
people,
humid, area. So I don't know if I've ever noticed a particular smell in that area.
You're going to notice it this time. And if anybody else notices this, that's listening to this right now, send me a message. Send us a message. Post on Facebook, because I want to know that I'm not the only one that knows that distinct smell walking up to that tunnel. So
it's not like the pirate smell or anything, is it?
It's definitely not a purposeful smell. I'll say that. It's obviously some sort of smell that's coming through the air conditioning, or I don't know, some sort of mechanical lubricant of some sort.
Exhaust.
I have no idea what Tom's talking about, just so we go on record here. I think he's crazy.
I don't know either. I'm racking my brain thinking about the times that I've been standing there, and I do not recall a distinct smell in that area.
I mean, it's possible I'm losing my mind, but I swear there's a smell there. So, but no, I'm excited about this. If this is the case, I think this is a great thing to do as the continuing overhaul of Epcot. I would hope that they're able to do these things and keep the ride open, because Epcot is, running short on things right now, with Ratatouille being built and, the Ellen closing and Interventions being basically done. Closing something else, especially something as iconic as that, would be, I think, kind of rough for crowds.
Well, it's kind of a twofold thing too, is one, how do you, because if they blocked off individual scenes while they were doing work, that would be weird, because you just have a facade or just like a dark hallway.
I'm okay with a facade, though. I'd rather they did that, to be honest with you, like some hand painted scene while they're working on it. I would be cool with that, because I hate to take away that experience. I mean, listen, for us, we go often enough. People that live in Florida go often enough, right? It's not a big deal, but I always think about those families that are coming that, maybe even once in a lifetime. I mean, I have many friends that go once, they went once.
Absolutely.
Or they're going once, or their kids are 10 and they haven't been yet. And for them, I hope that, something as iconic as this stays open throughout that process, at least in some aspect.
So yeah, other thoughts around that are this new projection technology. Like, why could they not use that in a temporary stance? Again, have a facade, but then have something projected on the side, just so that, there's still some sense of movement or whatever.
That's a good point. Yeah, that's a good point.
The other thing, talking about closing it itself, you're right. The thing about Spaceship Earth is it's a people eater. It's a pretty high throughput ride, because it's that Omnimover track, and it, like you said, there's not a lot in Epcot right now. So yeah, they either need to do this after after Guardians and Ratatouille opens, or
do it slowly overnight, scene by scene.
Yeah.
I'm voting for scene by scene.
Yeah, I think that would be good. I mean, that projection stuff they could install, they could probably work on it overnight and start, testing it, after the park closes. I mean, Epcot closes at 9 o'clock every night, pretty much. So, I mean, they could get a lot of work done there. I mean, do you guys always wonder when you get to the top and you're looking at the ceiling, but then there's that black part that you can't see that just looks like I don't know. I've always wanted to know what that stuff is up there.
Oh, that's the former space station.
Is that what that is?
Yeah.
It's still there?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, they just put something, or
like a tarp over it.
Well, no, it's not tarp. Last I checked, I believe they took the structure out, because there used to actually be the structure there, and I think it's just they just removed it, and so now it's just black.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
But yeah, there used to be that space station up there. So I did actually watch some documentaries and stuff on this from way back in the day. So
that's really cool.
Yeah.
All right. Well, anything else we want to mention about this before we wrap up for today?
No, we have to wrap up because we had our secret project.
That's right.
Yes, we do. All right. Okay.
Go ahead, Trevor. You want to wrap us up?
Yep. So, as usual, more questions. We love talking to you guys. Keep it coming. You can always find us at welcomehomepodcast@gmail.com for email. like we said, we have this awesome website that,
state of the art.
I'm trying to.
It looks good. It looks good.
I'm trying to compare it to, the DVC resale website, but I can't. So, we got a website, but nothing cool there. So you can go to welcomehomepodcast.com if you really want to check it out. But again, we usually talk to you guys on social media. So probably the biggest place to find us is on Facebook at Welcome Home Podcast. But of course, we do have Twitter and Instagram, but we're not very good at those things most of the time. So
we're good at Facebook. We're good at Facebook at least.
Yeah, I think we all like Facebook. So
yeah.
But yeah, we do get stuff posted on Twitter and Instagram, I think, for trips and stuff. But that's about it. And also, if you guys did find us on iTunes, we do like our reviews because they just help the service work better for us so that it's more visible. So same thing on Google, leave us a review. Even if you don't like the podcast, at least tell us why. I mean, you're entitled to not like us. We don't expect everybody to like us.
And if you just don't like Trevor and Tom, you can say that too. That's fine.
Yeah, I'm fine with that. That's
fine.
Cool.
I mean, that's cool. Yeah. I mean, there is one review out there that talks about how much they don't like me. So
it does make me chuckle every time I go over there.
It's funny. It is. I mean, listen, I'll take it. I'll take the criticism. That's fine.
Yep.
So don't forget to subscribe to Welcome Home Podcast so you can be reminded every time we release a new episode. And subscribe so you can, know about our secret project that we have coming up here. That way you can be alerted about that. You can find our podcast on Apple Podcasts, Google Play Music, Google Podcasts, TuneIn, Stitcher. Anywhere you can find podcasts, you can find us. Just a reminder to our listeners, Welcome Home Podcast is for entertainment only. We are not employed by the Walt Disney Company, and as such, any and all opinions we express on this show are our own, so please consult a DVC representative or Disney cast member for more information. Big thank you to DVC Resale Market today for being on our show and for being our sponsor. We really appreciate them. They are a great company to work for, really nice people over there. So thank you to them and Nick Cotton and Marissa and Derek. We really appreciate them being on. So Damon, do you have anything you want to plug?
I do. So I know some kids that are doing some fashiony stuff over on Instagram. So it's Instagram.com/Cullen Gabriel Fashion, Cullen Gabriel Gabriel Fashion, all one word. Go check it out. Subscribe to them, give them some likes, let them get started. They are going to do some Disney stuff tomorrow, so I believe that there will be some Disney fashion on there. So go check them out and help them grow their following.
Awesome. Join us next time for more Disney Parks discussion and, of course, more DVC talk. We hope to see you all real soon.
This is Skipper Albert AWOL, the voice of the jungle, signing off from Welcome Home Podcast on the DVC.
We do a huddle when we hit a chair. How she can cuddle is no man's affair. I looked around from pole to pole, found her in a sugar bowl. Look out, here comes